Carl and Baking with Becca. It's great to see you. This week we are baking with me.
That's right.
That is right. What are we making, Carl?
Something crazy from scratch.
From scratch.
Apple strudel. We were gonna do apple pear, but you use what you got. So
you do.
We got some.
You use what's on sale because that's what we do around these parts.
Yeah. And we got rum, raisins. Let's go through the list.
Sure. So maybe we'll start with the actual pastry first. So the pastry itself, I'm going to knock out. It is really easy, but I'm going to knock it out right away because it has to sit and be warm for a while. And it has to be stretched out and all this fanciness. So let's get started this way. So the first thing we're going to need is a 1/4 cup of salted or unsalted butter. We're going to use salted. I know you're supposed to use unsalted.
Yeah.
Little mommy, so it's okay.
It's okay.
So we're going to use a 1/4 cup of melted unsalted butter.
All right.
Then you need 1 1/2 cups of flour. You can use unbleached if you want. We're going to use bleached today because that's what we got. Thank you, Carl. We're also going to use.
Oh, they wanted unbleached.
Well, you can use unbleached if you want to. It's really for taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing is a pinch of salt and then a 1/3 cup of lukewarm water. Yep. And that is all pre-prepared here. Now, this is the simplest dough. It's a little different than puff pastry because with puff pastry, it has to be cold. You have to fold it. This is a little bit different. This is like a basic strudel dough. So what we want to do with it is keep it real warm so we can stretch it. And as you can see, the butter's already melted. Yeah. So it's going to be as simple as 1, 2, 3, throwing it in.
And,
but before I do that, Carl, do you want to talk about?
Well, we had the soaked raisins. Was they said half an hour? I got a little cute rum here, tiny little guy. Yeah. And those are soaking.
They are soaking a little for the raisins, a little for us.
You tried one.
We'll see. But needless to say, the rum and raisins, that's 1/3 cup of raisins and 1/3 cup of rum. And you just let it soak for about 20 minutes before you get started to really get that nice plump yumminess.
These were pretty hard.
Rehydrated into that. Were they hard as heck?
And a little bit dried out.
A little bit dried out. So
you
want to
those
make sure.
Way back. We did something else with raisins.
Back in the day.
I forget.
Good Lord, who knows? But okay, Carl, let's talk about your filling. So your filling is right here. Let me just pass it to you. There is your filling.
1/3 cup golden raisins, which we got. 2 tablespoons of rum. I put a little more just to cover them in the bowl.
More like 1/3 of a cup.
There,
yeah, 4 medium apples. I got 5.
Why
in case you're small. Tablespoon lemon juice. Teaspoon ground cinnamon. So we're making our own. They call for gingerbread spice, right?
They did.
Which you said was only nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon.
Yeah.
More or less.
Allspice.
Allspice. 1/2 cup of sugar.
Yep.
More sugar. 1/4 cup
sugar,
slivered almonds, finely chopped. So I have them slivered. I can chop them finer, right?
Chop,
So
chop.
they do, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract.
Awesome.
Oh, we're gonna need breadcrumbs. It looks
And
like.
we're gonna need 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs for the top and 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. But again, that is for that sweet topping that goes on the top of the dough. So I think what I'm gonna do, Carl, is go ahead and get started. Now, I am really super lucky to have the option to use this. Now, if you don't have the option to use a mixer, which makes your life super duper simple, all you're gonna do is put it in a bowl and hand mix like I usually do. Because we're all pretty fit around here. We're all lifting weights at least 3 times a week. I know because you're lifting weights with me. So that's right. We're gonna pump you up and get you mixing. Pump it, baby. But instead, we're gonna actually use the mixer today, make it easy on you because we've got Pilates this afternoon, and I don't want to take a chance when we're wearing you out before Pilates.
So, Baker Boss, I need tasks. So, should I chop almonds? What
I would love for you to start
apples.
chopping and coring and peeling these apples. Now, I want to eat the peels. Now, so for this, you have to peel the peel right off.
We do.
I love the nutrients, as Carl would say. Carl, where are the nutrients in the
In the
apple?
skin.
In the skin.
That's what I hear.
In my mouth.
That's
So
what
don't
I
worry, it's
heard.
not going to waste.
Yeah.
Here you go, Carl.
Okay.
Peel away. So while he's doing
Peel
that,
and cord. And you just want how many? Just like pieces or chunks?
they should be tiny slivers, much like the almonds. Like
So
little
thin.
thin. Yeah, thin, please.
And
So
peel?
It peels.
Oh,
I would
boy.
maybe peel first.
Oh,
Oh, poor
There
Carl.
we go.
Here he goes. Thank you, Grandma. All right,
I'm
so
gonna
I'm
do
gonna
this
get going.
Prison style.
Yeah. Oh, prison. How do you know what it's like prison style?
Yeah, peeling potatoes.
Is that what you did in
No,
prison, Carl?
That's what I did back in the
Back in the prison days?
20s.
Yes. All right, so here we go. I'm grabbing. First thing I want to do is grab the flour. Now, if you're being fussed,
Yeah.
you certainly can sift your flour. We always talk about this. It does lighten
Oh,
everything.
I've been getting into all these cooking shows. So they were saying sifting also helps when you're mixing ingredients.
That's right.
Because you're adding air, you're aerating, it's super fine, right?
Well, that's right. It's super fine. And on top of that, when you pre-mix your dry ingredients, then you're not having to mix as much when you add your wet, which doesn't add elasticity, because the more you beat gluten, the more elastic it becomes. We know this. We've seen it happen. It's like when you do your mashed potatoes. Marlene, have you ever made mashed potatoes and they all get super gloopy because I bet you haven't, because you're such a good
great
cook.
No, I have.
Yeah.
I've done that.
They've been hopeless.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't eat any gloopy potatoes.
Gloopy potatoes, no, but that's probably because she's practiced a lot and she's got it down to a fine science.
Oh, are you showing the bowl?
I am showing the bowl now. If you need to show. Okay. So Action Jackson here, I'm gonna get in there and grab my flour.
Can't
So
get closer than that.
I'm gonna go a cup of flour, and what I wanna do is be fairly precise with my flour. So I'm gonna just tamp it off. Bam, bam, bam. I should take my ring off because that would be good. Just a
What
moment.
happens?
Well, just
Oh.
it's sanitary, right? So I'm
Also,
taking my ring
you know
off.
what I was reading about induction ovens?
Tell
If you have a stainless, so remember we're always worried about which pots and pans to use?
Yep.
So you can hold, there's a magnet test. You hold a magnet to something, pretty much if it's magnetic, it'll heat up.
Oh,
With,
interesting.
so including rings.
Including
Yeah,
rings.
so
Good
people
Lord.
have been close to their induction oven, moving a pot and their rings starting to get hot.
Yeah, that's not good.
Interesting.
Well, that's terrible.
That's a safety tip.
Thank you.
Tip.
Safety tip, your first hot tip of the day. Safety tip, do
Yeah,
not
yeah.
wear your ring near a induction
stove.
oven
Yeah, just in
or
case.
stove. 'Cause
And
good Lord.
you're right, just taking it off is good practice.
It
anyway.
is, it's for sanitary
Yeah.
reasons, right? It's just like you shouldn't technically be wearing nail polish when you're cooking or baking or serving.
Oh, you
people.
should have told me,
Sorry,
but I
Carl.
put on the red.
Next time, no friends. All right, so
I
I've
did-
got,
I did it once.
did you?
Yeah, black.
Nothing wrong with that.
I
I
had-
used to
I
wear
had a
black. I like
goth
a good
face.
black
You know, I
nail
was
polish,
pretty good
actually.
at putting on eyeliner.
It's pretty mod too. It's not just goth, it's goth, it's mod, it's lots of stuff.
Oh, boy.
Pretty schmick to
These
wear
are my
black nail
wild,
polish.
Carl's wild days.
Carl's wild days. I wish I had been in those wild days. I like wild times. All right, so here is, I've got my 1¼ cup of flour. Now you're supposed to put in a pinch of salt. So I'm probably gonna put in about a teaspoon of salt because I like, again, a little bit, but not too much because again, we've got salt in our butter.
Yeah.
So now what I'm gonna do, so our second tip of the day is, we talked about it just a few minutes ago, is I'm gonna mix these dry ingredients together. So now I've got my dry ingredients together, which is my butter and my salt, or my flour and my salt. My brain is just like, no, Becca, slow down.
Coffee time.
Coffee time, coffee time. Logic. Oh! That was a mistake. That was not intended to be. I was trying to turn it off. Ah! What's happening? Okay.
I think Lefty Loosey.
Lucy Lefty, all right. That's like Lefty panic attack. All right. Lefty panic attack is more like it. So you can see the texture of this dough here. I'm gonna actually take it out. I'm gonna just pull this little piece out as well.
Are you gonna taste test?
I'm not gonna taste test. Well, I guess I could, but you see, it doesn't seem like a heck of a lot of dough.
Well, I mean, we're spreading it out flat, no?
Yeah.
Pretty thin?
We are. It's supposed to be pretty thin. So you can see that it's a fairly elastic dough here. I'm gonna bring this over just so you can take a peek-a-roo.
Rubbery?
It's supposed to be a bit rubbery. Now, the next tip is that we've got for today. We've got a few tips
We
today.
sure do.
What I wanted to point out to you as well is that it's important with this dough because of the way that we're going to make it and that we need to stretch it to keep it nice and warm. So in order to keep these, all the fat in the dough quite loosey-goosey, what we're going to do is actually, I pre-warmed a pot here.
Yeah.
It's been boiling hot and it's full of hot water. I'm going to turn it off. Now this is hot, Carl. Yeah. The only purpose of it was to heat up to heat this up. So this is very hot for a second, Carl. So be careful. Hot, hot indeed. Then you're gonna get a piece of aluminum, or you can actually get a piece of parchment paper is the best. And you're gonna put it in.
Careful, that's a hot one.
It is such a hot one.
Let's not melt our cookie.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's
Actually,
right.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, so we don't want to melt the cutting board for sure. And we're gonna. Oh, the hands
Ready?
are
Good,
one,
good steam.
2, 3. Pretty good.
Oh.
All right, karate kid, right here.
So you coat it, eh?
Yeah, you want to just cover it up and keep it nice and warm.
This is a neat trick.
It is a nice trick. It is a good trick. Now this is fairly hot, so I'm going to be
Yeah.
careful. I
And
don't want
then-
to cook my dough.
So what's this gonna do to your dough?
So what this is going to do is just provide my dough with a nice warm cave to sit in for a few minutes.
I want a nice warm cave to sit in.
I like a nice warm cave myself.
That's the winter.
Called
time.
my bedroom. All right, here we go.
Pretty much.
Oh man, actually, to be honest, my bed is like a fuzzy, cozy covers, and my window's wide open, and it's freezing,
I
freezing
like
cold.
that though, a little cool breeze.
Cozy wozy.
Then you don't want to get out of your bed.
I know, and then in the morning you're like, what the heck did I do to myself? But it's so good in here. All right, so here we go. So here's my dough.
Yeah.
It's very goosey loosey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in its warm nest
Let 'em
and let him
a nap.
have a nap.
Okay.
Let him have a nap while I help you with some of this other business that we're
Okay,
gonna
so,
do.
Yeah, I got apples more or less ready, but I'm unsure of how to chop.
All right.
You said slivers, but I'm picturing a strudel with like chunks of apples, right?
With chunks, yeah. It's supposed to be pretty fine chunks though, because you're gonna have the raisins as texture as well. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. Thank you, my friend. So the next thing we're gonna do, and Carl, what are you doing right now?
Well, I
You're
can
gonna chop
either
these
do,
apples?
I can do the apples or I can do the almonds.
Why don't you do the apples?
Okay.
Keep going with those apples, and I will start on these almonds. So we're gonna chippity chop these ones up as well.
What is your favorite?
My favorite.
That's the
Aw,
biggest one.
Canadian Gothic. In the kitchen with Becca and Carl. Here we are. All right, so how many of these do we need? We need.
It's not much.
It's not a heck of a lot. It's a quarter cup. So I'm gonna pull out my quarter cup measure.
Yeah.
And I'll just put these in.
So when you're saying slivers, are we talking like this?
Bigger than that.
Yeah, thinner than that. She's
Thinner?
right, yeah. She's
Okay,
right.
like super thin
Like matchsticks.
matchsticks.
That's the way, Carl. That's
Oh,
exactly.
perfect.
Because our dough is gonna be super thin. So here's my quarter cup of almonds. Ta-da! And I'm gonna chop the heck out of these.
So thin, but like wide? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
slivers.
Slivers, you got it.
Sliver, shiver.
Shiver baby, shiver me timbers. Yar,
Oh,
pirate time.
what was the other word? Nave.
You name,
I
yeah,
can't think of any
scoundrel,
Pirate ones, rapscallion.
rapscallion, swashbuckler.
That's you.
That's me. Out in the town in my pirate bars, not really. All right, here we go.
I missed my chance to dress up as a pirate.
Yeah, that's a shame. Maybe next year.
Maybe for Christmas.
For Christmas, perfect. He'll be the Christmas pirate. I will be an elf of some sort.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's either an elf or the giant snow monster. That guy's actually my favorite.
I always do just those crummy little.
The bumble.
The horns, the reindeer horns,
Do you?
the dollar store.
We did that. Well, we had fun last year. I like the bumble because the bumble's dance.
Oh yeah, the bumbles.
The bumble.
That's
We got my baby this year.
Rudolph.
And Rudolph.
That's right.
That's one we watch every
Do
year.
do 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 do. With what is his name? I love him.
Cornelius.
Cornelius. What is Cornelius? It's like Irving Berlin, I
He's got a
think.
good name. Something Cornelius something.
I think Irving Berlin did the music for that, and the voice is
Bird Ives.
Bert Ives, Burl Ives. It's
Burl.
Burl Ives.
I'm gonna name my.
Silver and gold.
You know, I haven't met a lot of Burls. I'm gonna name
Silver
my kid
and
Burl.
gold. Burl.
That's a cool name.
Burl is a cool
That should have
name.
been my name.
That guy was awesome. Very cool guy. All right, so here we go. Cutting this up, you can see these are very, very fine here.
A mortar and pestle would be good.
It
If
would
you
have been
had- I
great
mean,
if
those
we
are-
had one.
You don't use them a lot.
Well, you know what I could maybe do is this, is like this. I don't know
Oh,
if I
good.
really wanted to. But now I'm gonna have to wash this off
Or you could
because.
use the butt end in a bowl.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
if you really-
Yes.
if you
Oh my God, the aggression. All right, that's a hot tip, bro.
Create your own mortar and pestle.
Create your own mortar and pestle. Just don't break the bottom of your bowl.
Yeah.
That would be bad. You know what? I need to use a plastic bowl. With my stress levels, I better use a plastic bowl, right, Carl?
I hope our rolling pin will survive.
I think it will. I think it will. It's a pretty,
They're gonna go hard, right?
pretty solid. Mary, how are you doing
I
this
saw
week?
Mary there. Hello.
Welcome. Here we go, coming down this way. Putting that up there for the time being, and away we go.
These are like the thinnest cuts I've ever made.
Those are
right?
great. Yep, keep them nice and tiny. I
Like
love
a
it.
potato chip kind of thickness.
Yeah, because you know why it has to be so thin? It's because we're actually gonna roll out the dough so finely that you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to see through it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty intense. You can't believe it? I don't know, Carl. All right, so
You're
here we
the
go.
baker. Yeah, I trust you.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you do.
The baking episodes, I just need jobs.
He just needs
I'm not a
jobs.
good baker.
We're a good
Yeah.
team, though. You don't have to be perfect in everything to be a good team.
Just need a good chopper.
Yeah, and a good friend.
That's me.
That's you. Here we go. So I'm going to take some of these, and what I'm going to start to do is move these into the glass bowl. Now you're going to notice, of course, they're going to oxidize, right? Apples always
Oh,
oxidize
There's a
pretty
trick for
quickly.
that. Any acid, right?
Any acid. I usually use lemon juice, though.
Yeah, that would taste better than.
Yeah, the
Vinegar.
ascorbic acid in the lemon really helps it to not oxidize and turn that brown color.
Yeah.
Protects the cells. Okay,
Speaking of acid, I learned about
show me.
what the heck baking soda
Yeah.
and baking powder actually do. And you remember those volcano experiments? It's the same
Yeah.
thing in your cooking. It just, because there's a reaction and it's creating carbon dioxide gas while it's baking, it makes bubbles. So it makes things fluffy.
That is correct.
And baking powder is just baking soda with an acid that's stabilized. So it'll activate with water.
Awesome.
I didn't know.
Well,
So
now we
The more
do.
you know.
Science moment with Carl.
Yeah, well, I figured there's gotta be some,
Yeah,
it's magic, magic baking powder.
Magic.
I wanted to
it's
know,
alchemy.
it's chemistry, yeah.
Yes,
Similar,
I love it.
It was
All
like-
right.
proto-chemistry,
Ah, yes, I love that.
creating gold.
Creating gold. All right, so I'm going to actually now I'm going to grab a half a cup of granulated sugar. So
Yeah.
here's my half cup,
So
and I'm going to
would-
mix it right in here.
What could you substitute a brown sugar?
You could
I'm
actually.
just thinking, like
You want
theory. No, I'm just shooting the,
We could shoot the. Yeah. I know what you're shooting. Not guns.
just
So what
chatting.
am
I like
gonna
to,
say
I
is,
like to question you.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. You could actually. I love to put brown
Or
sugar
a
and everything. I was
mix.
just looking to see if we had any. But
I'm not sure. It's okay, let's go with.
we're
what
gonna go with this for now. So I'm putting the sugar right in there. And the reason why I'm dumping it in as we go is just to get a good coverage. So here we go. I'm gonna put the lemon juice in the end though. Do you know why?
No.
Only because the lemon juice is, I wanna make sure it's like a fine mix through everything. The same with the rum and the raisins. So the next thing I'm gonna put in is a teaspoon of ground cinnamon.
So what is the rum bringing? Flavor?
The rum brings flavor, that's right. It brings flavor and it rehydrates those
That makes
raisins.
sense. I
Yeah.
know that,
The old grapes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
gnarly old grapes.
the booze will cook off.
Ugh. Yeah, the booze will cook off. It
Well,
always does.
That's another thing I've read, is actually, depending on how much wine or something you add to a sauce, it doesn't all cook off. Yeah.
Oh, well, I put a lot of wine in my sauces, so I guarantee you probably walk away a little bit south, but
I'm
not
learning
too
a lot
much.
from these cooking shows, so any cool stuff I learn,
A
I'll
teaspoon of cloves.
repeat. Cloves?
Yep, because I'm making it like the allspice flavor. Like I'm not just sticking with the cinnamon.
Yeah.
I'm adding everything, and then I need to also add the nutmeg. Nutmeg is one that I love, and I love it so much. To me, it's like endemic of holiday. You know what I mean?
That mixed with cinnamon.
Oh, it's so good. Here's the nutmeg.
This will be a nice treat, eh?
Bring it on. This is gonna be a nice smelling dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder, the middle can go liquidy or not, right?
It
And it can
can.
ruin the pastry.
It could, but the reason why, like Marlene said, we use
Apples.
green apples is because it stops it.
So this was for what it called for. This was an extra apple. I don't know if you'll need it.
All right.
Let me.
Well, it's up to you, Carl. We can definitely put it in if you want, or we can just save it for later. These were fairly decent sized apples though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be okay. So once it's in there, now the next thing that we're gonna actually put in, I'm just looking to see if I need any salt, and I don't see it. So the next thing we'll do is add the almonds. Thank you, sir.
Well, you did add salt, right?
I added salt into the dough, so we'll maybe leave that.
Beautiful. Look at these.
There's the almonds, so those are going in too, so we'll put those in.
Yeah.
The final, and then I need to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. So I'm gonna eyeball that because I'm pretty good with my teaspoons and my tablespoons. So 1 teaspoon of tablespoon of lemon juice is usually about that much of a squirt.
Yeah.
All right, and maybe even a touch more. And then we're gonna add the raisin, the rums, but this needs to be drained.
Oh, where are we gonna put it?
You tell me, Carl.
Well, maybe
Well,
not on
So it just needs to be
camera.
drained. No, definitely not on camera. And then I need 2 teaspoons of rum. That I am gonna measure because I don't.
Do you want to use some of this?
Yeah, can I use 2 teaspoons of that? I am gonna measure the rum only because I don't wanna add too much rum because the raisin's already soaked in it and that could be a really super strong
Yeah.
flavor.
There we
So
go.
we'll use that. Thank you very
So
much.
that might be 1 or 2.
That's gonna be way more than 1 or 2.
Hey.
1
We got extra rum.
and 2. A little for the
It's a
bowl.
problem you want to have.
There for later. All right, so
those
in
are
it goes.
Soaked and dried.
Soaked and dried and in it goes. And so now what we're gonna do is give this a moment. And so what we're gonna do is mix it. I'm looking for
Wooden spoon.
wooden spoon would be bomb. Thank you. I know you do. Carl always has my back. What a good guy.
How's our dough doing?
Our dough is good.
good.
You wanna check it? You wanna check her out? So I added just a pinch of salt because you know me. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all together.
Still sleeping.
Still sleeping. Okay, so the goal for this is just to get it married together and really all
It looks
covered
good.
in the
Let
business.
me have a little smell.
Have a smell, Carl.
Oh my
What do you
gosh.
think?
The rum mixed with the cloves.
Mhm.
That's an interesting smell. It immediately
very
turned into like
Christmassy.
Christmas punch kind of smell.
Christmas punch.
You
It
know?
did turn into Christmas
Like
punch.
Eggnog kind of notes.
Oh, I love eggnog. I
too.
know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm like the person who goes to the store and buys it and then drinks it by herself.
And
drinks the liter by
eggnog
herself.
Goes pretty good with
Lonely eggnog mama.
a little shot of rum
A
too.
little shot of rum, yeah.
Carl sips.
Carl says, I want to learn how to make a hot toddy.
What is a hot
I don't
toddy?
know, I've never had it. Marlene or Mary, do you know what a hot toddy is?
Yep, it's heated whiskey with a little water.
Really?
Ooh.
That's
But you
it?
can also add butter or sugar or something to liven it up.
So we can even do it on the parchment and then put it onto the tray. I think this might be big enough for me to roll it out though.
Chopping, the tools, we're done.
Yes, for now, yes we are.
Got my bowl.
Hey,
Yeah, we're
Carl,
gonna use butter, but that's
this is where Oma used to use a tablecloth on the table to roll out.
Yeah, she had a
Ah.
special tablecloth that she only used for rolling out pastry dough.
That is
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
like it came out when she went business.
Super cool,
You know?
super cool. All right, so I'm gonna pull the
What you
parchment.
need,
Do you
oh,
mind lining the parchment for me?
Absolutely. Of course, I mind.
Of course you mind. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. Now this is pretty warm and gooey wooey,
Really.
because I'm very technical in my language when it comes to baking and
So do
cooking.
you want flour or anything down or not
Um,
really?
Why not?
A little dazzle?
Maybe a razzle dazzle me with some flour there, sir. Let's just do it. Yeah, get her done.
Magic.
Farmer style.
Good luck.
Good luck style. Okay, here we go. All right, thank you, Carl. All right, bring it out, Carl. Super awesome.
So you use
Space roller.
the vanilla?
Shy. Ooh, no, I did not.
Roll
Shy,
that
put it into the, please put it into there.
part. Okay, we all see she's pulling the car.
All right, so now
She's
we're gonna
pulling
do
the
a
car.
teaspoon of vanilla into that mixture because I forgot the vanilla. Good call. So Carl's gonna put that in there. While he's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start this business. So it has to be a long skinny roll, a long and skinny roll. So that's what we want. I'm actually gonna turn this, so I'm gonna roll it in the way it should be moving. Now this thing is probably gonna flip and flop all over the place, knowing me. So we'll just see what we can do here. So the long and the skinny is this direction. So this is actually, you know what, Carl? I'm gonna take it right to the here because it is harder on this tray. Trust your recipes, friends. They're usually right. Now I've preheated the oven to 375, and now I need to make this super thin. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and roll this out. Rolling. I wanna see through this dough.
I got a question.
Yes,
Question about it.
Yep.
The excess liquid that pools at the bottom, are we draining?
yeah, we won't be
Probably,
putting,
right?
yeah, we definitely wanna drain that.
'Cause you don't want this stuff to get soggy on us.
You do not want anything to get soggy. So I am working on kind of making an oblong shape here.
Yeah.
Now, it is definitely a work in progress, as you can see. Because what we're gonna do when we lay it out, as most of you already know with the strudel, is that you've got to get like that big, fat, thick line in the middle and then have enough dough to pull up over the side.
So this is bottom base layer.
So there's a bottom base layer, but there's a reason you have to see through it because you've got to have enough to be able to roll up, right? So here we go. Rolling.
Oh, super thin, I see it.
Feel like I need some Adele right now, rolling in the deep or something. Oh, that's a terrible joke. Terrible joke. What are some other songs about rolling, friends? Maybe some
Rolling.
classic songs.
Rawhide. Rawhide.
Rawhide. Very good,
I
Carl.
don't know the words, but what show was that? Bonanza?
Somebody knows.
I don't even know it.
I never watched Bonanza.
The show was called Rawhide.
Right.
Rawhide. Yeah, I remember that Gilligan's Island had a very specific song, and Gilligan's Island is a funny song because you can put it to a meter and it's very, very funny.
Meter.
Yeah, like a metered verse, and it's just very, very funny. All right, so I'm gonna roll it out if you're interested in metered
This turned
verse.
out great. This dough,
And
I think.
yeah, going. All right, rolling it out.
Yeah.
We are going. It needs to be thinner though.
Thinner and shape wise, are you cutting it?
No, I'm just
You're
gonna
not
be
gonna cut
rolling it up. For now, what my goal is just to get it to a point where it's super duper thin and like enough to roll up over the top of the,
I'm glad my rolling pin's getting some use.
oh man, it's
I
never
never-
getting used.
Don't really use it.
That's a shame, Carl, because you know what? We're gonna use it over Christmas.
That's true.
We're
I'm
gonna
glad-
use
I'm
it
glad
over
we
Christmas.
use it.
We will. All right, so here we go. Going a little more. You know what I could ask you to do, Carl, while I'm doing this? Do you mind getting 6 tablespoons of butter?
Yep.
And melting it.
Absolutely. Like totally melted?
Totally melted.
Tablespoon.
Yep, and then we'll get the breadcrumbs as well after that. Oh, you know, the smell in here again is like that Christmas awesome smell. Christmas awesome.
And we got our melted butter.
All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit on here, just lay it down along the edges. We are gonna use it to seal as well, but this is mostly for the topping. So I'm just putting it along the outsides for rolling and so that it doesn't dry out too much. So a
Are you
little,
rolling or filling in?
we're gonna fill in along the middle. So what we're gonna do
I'm
first,
curious.
can you bring the tray over? Because we're
Sure,
gonna leave this on here. I'll need your help so that we don't lose it.
I'm
So
gonna go under.
you're gonna go under, okay.
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Holy, it worked.
Beautiful. All right. So Carl, the next step is we've got the breadcrumbs. The next step is to actually ask you, my love, to bring that over here and drain it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to just lay it down in a line in the middle. It has to be in like a log, and you want it in the middle of it, and you want it in like a very uniform kind of way here, as much as you humanly possibly can. So we're going to do that. There we go. In the middle as much as I can. You can see my little log.
That's
Here.
beautiful.
Yeah, there we go. There's our log.
I
So
see how
let's
you're
see.
doing it. So you roll it up in a big log and then we're gonna slice along the log, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna lay one side over,
Okay.
lifting from the parchment
In the
paper. Yes, please. And then I'm gonna see if I can separate it very gently. Gently, gently. Gently, gently. We don't want it to rip. You're doing so great, Carl. You can help me. Pull that and we'll do it evenly together, okay?
Ready?
Yep. Bam. All right, there's one side. There's one side. Okay. Other side. You ready, Freddie?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
Over
Nice
top?
and tight over
It's a
the
big
top as
taco.
far as we can.
Taco time.
Taco time. So gently, gently. Beauty, Carl. Wonderful. Okay, so that's it there. And we want to just make sure that
It
we
is a
then take the
burrito.
ends. It is a burrito.
Christmas burrito.
Christmas burrito. You take the ends, and again, it's so thin, it's so fine, right? So you're gonna roll them, fold them, and in and up and pinch it down. So
Pinch.
I'm gonna just pinch it down with my fingers. What I
You
am
could
gonna
use a
do,
toothpick or some water.
you certainly can. I'm gonna use the butter, I
Butter.
think.
Mm.
So we're gonna just pinch that down a bit, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. So just folding in and up.
Look at this professional.
Burrito.
I'm just a pretty face standing here.
You are a pretty face, Carl, but not in a bad way. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna take this and
Not-
just,
Not in a bad way.
not in a bad way. All right, so
You
not
got-
like a
you got
lazy
real,
face.
you got a real mug. I've been told I have a mug.
A great
Whatever that
mug.
means,
So here we go. So we're gonna pinch that down. So I'm gonna use my fingers and pinch the
So
dough.
that's a pastry trick, right?
Yeah, you
The
need the
pinching?
pinching.
Yeah.
You need the pinching. Otherwise, it might not stay closed. So pinch that up. We're
Pinch
gonna
it up.
tamp that down. And then the
Pinch it
next
down.
thing we're gonna do, now we can fold this over if we like.
Who knows?
If we wanted to be real fancy, we could just take the whole thing and flip it over so the ugly part's on the bottom. But we're gonna just cover this, I think.
And you said brushing with butter,
We're gonna brush with butter.
that's not gonna hurt anything.
No,
It's gonna make it much
no,
savory or.
it's, well, what is it? Brush it with butter. Pardon?
Why butter instead of an egg wash?
Oh,
Butter instead of an egg wash, I think because of the type of pastry it is, because it's not like a cooler pastry, like a standalone pastry. I think the butter basically just helps it to stay together because it's not got a million layers or anything like that. It's a very thin pastry.
you could do this with layers, right?
You could do it with
You wanna
layers
get
if you
super
wanted to be
fancy.
super fancy, but this particular strudel doesn't call for layers.
That's what I was picturing when I think of the brush.
Now I
and
need a
baking.
1/4 cup of the
Egg wash.
breadcrumbs and I want to
Breadcrumbs?
put them in here.
Sure thing. 1/4 cup. In
1/4
the
cup
butter?
In the butter.
Oh,
Holy cannoli. And maybe a bit of sugar too. We can put a touch of sugar. So now I'm just covering this with a little bit of butter to make
1/4
sure that
cup.
it stays together
into our butter.
into our butter. You do you, Carl. So I'm just giving this a good rub down. This is looking nice. Rubbing the log.
A 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
And some sugar.
Yeah, I would say add a little bit
Like
of
a
sugar.
pinch?
Like a pinch.
There's a small handful.
All right, good enough. There we go. We are gonna layer this up all
Are we in
over the
business?
top. We're in business.
We are in business.
We're in business, the strudel business. All right, so I'm just going ahead and putting this on over the top of the strudel. Here we are. And that is that. And now we're ready for the oven at 375.
Yeah. For how long?
About 20 minutes.
That's it.
That's it, that's
And
all.
we're gonna slice it up.
We're gonna slice it up, add a little bit of powdered sugar if we like.
This will be good.
And serve
Whipped
it.
cream as well.
It would be great with whipped cream.
Powdered sugar is nice. I like that.
Does anybody have any questions about what we did here?
Oh, looks great.
Well, what's the point of the breadcrumbs? I'm sorry, I don't know. Is it just
Texture.
crispy? Yeah.
Texture.
So could you use like a granola or
You could, I guess, if you want it.
anything?
I've always put breadcrumbs inside to help catch the juice. I've never seen it done this way, so I'm kind of interested.
I'm interested too.
Yep,
Either way, it's gonna be delicious.
yep. It's gonna be so good.
We can't go wrong with all these great ingredients.
Absolutely not. So let's give it a go. We'll put this
You're gonna
on.
put it in and
We're
then-
gonna put it in.
And then Bob's our uncle.
Bob is your uncle, so
Hey.
let's get it. All right.
That's another quick show. Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody.
thank you for coming today. Now, we wanted to ask you, is there something next week is cooking with Carl? So is there something that you'd like to try next week? Anything you like. Can be anything in the world.
I like macaroni and cheese, but that's pretty mundane.
It's
It's
okay.
not,
We
and
can
I
still
was
have to
actually,
be.
there was a way,
We can go to Cheese World.
I just saw a video of making your own from scratch and trying something a little different. So maybe I can
We can totally do that. Macaroni and cheese
Mac and
is
cheese.
on
Let's
for
do-
next week.
gourmet mac and cheese. We're gonna
Yes.
Add extra little bits to it. You know, make it
Extra
fancy.
stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming today. It was so great to see you. We
Yeah.
love you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Thank you.